Hi there, everybody. My name is Miss Jen, and I'm one of the librarians here at the Grandview Heights Public Library. Well, not here. I'm in my home today. But when you visit, I'll usually be in the basement, which is the big kids area. But sometimes I'm in the younger kids area, and I love to read and talk about books for kids of all ages. So I am here to tell you about some of my favorites. I'm going to start off with a couple of board books today. This one is called Little Dinos Don't Bite by Michael Dahl. And this one's great. This is a great one, but it's actually the whole series that I really, really love. There's Little Dinos Don't Hit, Don't Push, Don't Yell. It's basically manners. It's like a beginning manners series. And I really like it because it doesn't just tell kids that the biting is bad behavior. It talks about what you can do with your teeth or what you can do with your hands. You can hold hands. You can bite into something delicious, but you should never bite your mom, even if she's super sweet. So it's a nice sort of positive way to attempt to change behavior that we'd rather not see. That's our first board book. Our second board book is by Taye Diggs, which for most of you parents probably maybe know who he is. He's an actor. Anyway, he wrote a book a while ago called Chocolate Me, and it was actually a really popular book, and so they made it into a board book. And it's a really good book. It's a little on the longer side, so maybe not for your infant, but for your slightly older, like your toddler, it would be good. So it's this boy. He, he's in this neighborhood with a lot of white kids, and his school has a lot of white kids, and they kind of point out his differences. He has a really different name than them. He has different skin color. His nose is different. His hair is different. And he starts to feel kind of bad because they're always talking about how he's different. And so he goes home to his mom and says, maybe things would be easier if, my skin were lighter and these other things. And of course his mom says, oh my goodness, let's celebrate you. And I'm going to tell you all of the wonderful things that there are about being you. And so, it definitely brings some black boy joy by the end of the book. It's really very sweet, and definitely a good book for, anybody to read. Any parents could read to any kids. There's just lots of goodness in this book. I really like it. Moving on to picture books. This is a new one by Lizzie Rockwell. She has written and illustrated a lot of books. This is her latest. It came out late last year. And it is about Jennifer and her friends at the community center. Then they get together and they make a quilt. So what I like about this is that personally I like to sew. And so it's kind of cool to see a book that talks about quilting. But it shows lots of intergenerational working together. They're learning a skill. They put together this quilt. They work really hard. Talks about the quilt construction, all of that. And then they talk about when it is all done, who does it belong to? Does it belong to the main character, whose name is Jennifer? Does it belong to Jennifer? All these people worked on it, but actually they go through and you find out that at the end it's going to live at the library. It's a community quilt for everybody to enjoy. And so, of course, if it ends in the library, it's probably going to be extra exciting for me. Here's another new book, another new picture book. Rainbow for Rainbows, and this book is just really beautiful. The concept is beautiful, the text is beautiful, and the pictures are really, really, really beautiful. So this basically talks about how, there's rain before rainbows, clouds before sun, things like that. Like you're going to have these difficult times before you have sort of the reward, right? And so the illustrations are just gorgeous. And it starts off kind of a little gloomy. They talk about, the hard things that you might encounter. But then things get lighter and lighter and more hopeful. And Yes, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous book. And that's pretty new. That just came out this year, actually, just a couple months ago. My next book is an oldie but goodie. It's called Pizza Kittens. And if you're like me, the title is really all you need to want to read the book. But I will tell you, so it's about pizza kittens. There's 3 of them, and their parents keep cooking dinner that is not pizza. And they're messy eaters, and they don't have good manners. And so the parents try to address that. And at the end of the book, you'll have to keep reading to find out if they get the pizza that they're after, or if they don't. But spoiler alert, they get pizza. It's a cute book. It's a little on the easier side, so it's a good book for toddlers and young preschoolers, or librarians in their 30s, I guess, right? And then the next book I have is actually by Michael Dahl as well. So Michael Dahl is the one who wrote those Little Dinos Don't Do This kind of books that I talked about at the very beginning. There's one called Bedtime for Batman. He's got a few of these out. And it's really sweet and it's really cute. It's kind of what you would expect. It's Batman and he's getting ready for bed because even Batman has to sleep. And it shows him brushing his teeth and all those things. So it's a really good, kind of a wind down book. But my favorite part is that, I don't know if this will pop up. Oh, here we go. This is my favorite part, is that I just did not expect to see Batman in his underwear. So that's why it was kind of a big surprise for me when I read this book. So really good, fun bedtime book. Bedtime for Batman. All right, so those were our picture books. We are going to move on to, I have a biography here. It's called Eleanor Makes Her Mark. And it looks like, this is a biography. It's Eleanor Roosevelt. But what I wanted to point out is that we have a lot of biographies like this that read and look like picture books. And some of them are, this one is a little more text heavy. Some of them are like this. Some of them have even less text than this. But they're really great. I find that kids who find out about these and check them out are really intrigued by them because they're real people. It's not a story. So these are really great from basically at whatever point they can start. They have the attention span. So, for your child, it could be 3 or 4 or 5, just depending on how text heavy and, and also your kid, your kid might be a little wiggly for some of the text in these books. But they're really great because they're about real people. And, I feel like I was my daughter is 10, and I feel like I was bringing home these kinds of biographies for her. She was really into biographies, and I brought them home to her till she was I feel like it was 9. She would still read them, even though she was reading more complex stuff. So this book is really well done. I really like it. It's a newer book, late last year, and it talks about a lot. I feel like we all know who Eleanor Roosevelt is, but I couldn't tell you a ton about her. And this is a really interesting book. She had a childhood where she really wanted to go out and help people, but she was sort of stifled in what she was allowed to do and able to do until she went away to college or to high school in London, and her worldview really changed, and that sort of just set her on a lifelong journey of helping people. And so it's a really beautiful book about Eleanor Roosevelt. Let's see. I'm gonna talk about easy readers. So these easy readers, they're a little bit more advanced than the little paperbacks that, just have sort of 10 or 20 pages with a sentence on them each. They're longer than that, they're more complex, but that's exciting because these are really able to get into stories with plots, and we've got a lot of really great newer easy readers that kind of fit the bill with, in terms of having good advancement and development of reading skills, but actually have something interesting so the kids don't feel like it's a drag to have to work through, their reading. We also have our easy readers are leveled. That's a backwards J to me. I don't know if it would be backwards for you or not, but so this is the guided reading level J. So we have them all broken up by reading level in our library at Grandview. And if you go to our webpage, there's a tab that says services and then school services. And you can see all of the easy readers in every single guided reading level from A until I think N. We have them categorized. So that's just something to know about. Next, I'm going to talk about graphic novels. So this is a graphic novel. I love graphic novels. I love them. If you ever want to talk about graphic novels, come and find me, because I'll talk about them for a real long time. And this, I really like this series, is Balloon Tunes. It's the series Balloon Tunes. It's not a series like, they're not all about glurbs, for example, but they're all meant to be sort of introduction to graphic novels. A lot of the graphic novels that are out are too complex for an early reader, and these are not. These are really, they're great. Once a kid has started to, learn to read and is, they're getting there. They're up, they haven't just started, but they're not into chapter books yet. They maybe can't read all of the graphic novels that they're interested in. But this is a good way for them to get started. This one is about glurbs. It's really, really funny. It's sort of like the care and feeding of glurbs, I guess. It talks to you about all the trouble that they get into and everything, so it's really cute. And then the last one I have is a chapter book. This is the Kingdom of Renly. This is book 1, The Lost Zone. It's not a series that you need to read in order. You can pick up any of them. It's like a good early fantasy series. So if your kiddo really loves, kings and queens and dragons, and if you think they're probably going to love Harry Potter when they get older, things like that, this is a great series for them. It's about an 8-year-old prince, and he's really lonely, and he doesn't really have any other kids to hang out with. And then he meets Clara, who's the queen's seamstress's daughter, and they're able to go on these adventures. And that's what the whole series is about, is all of the adventures that they go on. But it's a nice step up from when you feel like you're kind of done with the leveled readers. It's a nice step up from that. It's not, overwhelmingly huge, but it is, feels like a real book. Like, they're going to sit down and read this to themselves on their own, probably, although it would make a really good read aloud. So yes, Kingdom of Renly and I did not say the author. The author is Jordan Quinn. I think there are maybe 16 of these now. It's a good long series for the most part. All right, so that is, those are all the books that I have to talk about. I think I'll be back in May to talk about some more. And if you ever want to talk with me about books, if you see me in the library, feel free to stop me and chat me up about books, because I love to talk about them. All right, I hope you have a good rest of your week.